Hey, welcome to Fish Innovation. Glad you're here. We have an exciting guest today. His name's Sean Malone, one of the founders of this awesome platform called FlowChat. If you're in sales, product, you name it, even if you're trying to set up a lemonade stand, right? This is a product you guys need to get. Sean, welcome to the show. I'm really excited to have you here and really get into your story, how it, made an impact on you, your life, and how you ended up coming up with FlowChat.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Ben, first of all, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to be on your show. I think what you're doing, the movement you've created, and the people that are following you, all the founders and the small biz guys, are crushing it with your leadership, your guidance, your consultancy. So thank you for doing what you do, and I'm really happy that you're in this space. So just anyone listening, if you haven't engaged deeply with Ben, you want to go do that now because Ben's really good at what he does. So anyways, yes, thank you for allowing me to be here. FlowChat is my 8th business go around. You'd call me a serial entrepreneur. I've failed a lot more than I've succeeded, but I've also hit some home runs. So if you want to dive into my story, is that where you want to start?
Yeah, I'd love to hear. 8 companies is amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are just trying to get one going,
Sure.
and get it successful. And I'd love to hear that journey. And then
Yeah,
what led
let's
you to
dive in, man.
FlowChat.
Stop me and ask me any questions, okay? I'm just going to start going and you control where you want me to go here. So let's go back about 3 decades when I started my career out of college. That's an easy place to start. I came out of college and I had one question on my mind. That question, Ben, was how do I make a boatload of money? Because that's what I wanted to do, right? Like most people coming out, they're like, oh, I got to fix the financial thing. So I was like, okay, cool. And I looked around my world, my little world of network that I had at the time, and I was like, who's the person that's made a bunch of money? I didn't really have anyone. And then I was like, oh, my dad, he has, he immigrated from South Africa when I was really young. So I came to America when I was like 2.5 years old. And then he started his own little steel company building cookware that you can use in your house. It's a pretty cool product. And I just watched him grow. I learned work ethic from him. Like I understood the Gary V hustle your face culture. And so like I learned it from my dad when I was really young. And then when I came through college, I was like, okay, cool. So Dad, how do I make a boatload of cash? And he goes, Sean, you have 3 options. I was like, oh, choices, right? I love choices. So number 1, are you a CEO? I'm 21 at the time. I'm like, no, Dad, I don't even know what those initials mean, bro. Like, what are you talking about? And then he goes, okay, option number 2, are you an entertainer? And I was like, I can't really sing or dance, so no, I'm not an entertainer. And he goes, okay, number 3, you better go learn sales. It's like, all right, cool. I got my plan, right? Like that was my game plan. So I go and I look around and I'm like, what sales job do I want to take? And so I took a job as a manufacturer's rep. So for the people that don't understand what a manufacturer's rep is, what I used to sell was aluminum extrusion, sheet metal, electronics. So I would go find, like as an example, Fisher Imaging, they make the little cow carts. So when you go in the, like clear, boom, and you hit somebody with those things. Okay, so like those little carts are called cow carts. Wheels is what they stand for, and they got a whole bunch of metal parts and electronics and cables, and so I would sell all the raw materials to this manufacturer and they'd build the cow cart and sell it to the person, right? So
That
yeah.
time 5 times fast, right?
Yeah, I can't say that one, right? Yeah. So and when I first started sales, for all of you founders listening to me, like please hear me so closely. Everyone's journey is a journey and sales is a learned skill. Let me say it again. Sales is a learned skill. What I mean that when I started my sales journey, I sucked. Ben, let me tell you how bad I sucked, okay? So I was given a book because we didn't even have the internet back then. He's like, here's a book of companies with their phone numbers. Go sell to them. That's all I do. So I sit down in my office and I start banging these cold calls. Bang, 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 bang. The first day I made like 30 and I was exhausted. No, every time. I was like, okay, tomorrow I'll just double my energy. Let's see how we do. 60, still no result. Third day, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing 80. And then my boss comes in, he's like, you need to be doing 80 a day for an extended period of time. So anyone that's hearing that, like smoke, like cold call that much every single day, that's where I cut my teeth in learning sales. And by the way, for 6 weeks, every single day, I made 80 cold calls to book an appointment. Ben, how many appointments do you think Sean booked in this first 6 weeks?
80 a day, probably, maybe at most 1 every other day.
I booked 0. That's how bad I sucked. 0 out of 2,400 attempts. And my dad was like, and I was done. I was like, F this. I'm out. Whatever. I'm throwing in the white flag. And then my dad, I called him. I was like, this sales thing, man, this sucks. I don't want it anymore. And he's like, no, don't quit. Like, go to the library and read a book. Thanks, Dad. Great advice. I go to the library and I pick up a Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling Stuff book. I started reading and I was like, oh, there's formulas. Cool. I was good at formulas in school. And again, point number one, for any founders that's listening, sales is a learned skill. There are frameworks you can use to get the results that you're looking to do. So I was so excited as I was reading this book, and I come back on Monday and I pick up my book and I start making these calls again. And this time I had a framework. And I was like, yeah, framework. And I get to the first place where I'm supposed to deliver this little line that I learned out of the book. And I messed it up, totally butchered it, right? And then the guy was like, nah, get out of here, hung up. Next cold call, and get on the phone again. Get to the point where I'm trying to say it. Still, again, stumbled on the same lines. You know, the hair stands up on your neck, the sweat beads roll down your face. You're like trying to like deliver the line. The guy on the other end was so cool though. He's like, no, Sean, I know what you're trying to do. Come on over here Tuesday at 9 a.m. Now this is 6-7 weeks of back pressure where I hadn't booked an appointment yet. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh, it's amazing. Like I was so pumped, right? That moment in time completely transformed what I wanted to do in my life because it was like it happened, right? And so I'm like, I try to act cool. I'm like, yeah, cool, man. I'll see you on Tuesday, right? And I hang up the phone. And I started jumping around my office, and my boss runs in. He's like, did you just close a deal? I'm like, no, but I just booked my first appointment. And he was like, get out of here, man. And so at that point, it really shifted how I was looking at what I just realized at that moment in time. I was like, everyone sucks at communication. I can learn this, and I want to learn it and get really good at it, and then I want to teach other people how to do it. Like that was how the vocation of my life shaped up. So I started geeking out on communication. I went so deep into the personal dev space with selling systems specifically. So I started selling systems. I spent money on 40 different ones, learned all the elements of all of them, right? Like over $500,000 of my own investment, went into debt learning the stuff. But then I realized there's these like kind of 5-6 components that need to be in every single sales conversation you have. And we can get into what they are in a minute here, but the idea was I started having success because I learned, right? And so if you don't have a coach and you're listening to me as a founder, you don't have somebody that can show you the ropes like Ben, you need to go get those people. And the reason I say coaching is so valuable, right? For any founder listening to this, coaching is so valuable because it collapses timelines. What I mean by that is Ben's been through it. I've been through it. We tried it on our own. We maybe read a book or went to a seminar. Maybe you hired a coach. I don't know. I hired a lot of coaches. What I found in doing that is it allowed me to jump over the potholes that most of the other people fall into, and then you can get the results that you're looking for. And this is why coaching is so, so valuable. There's another part of my story where coaching saved my life, like real talk. We'll get there in a sec. And so I started doing well at sales, and I took a company from $3 million to $38 million in 9 months, and I made a lot of commission dollars. And at that point, I took my change and I bought an electronics company in Las Vegas. I moved there in 2003, and that company, it was had 7 employees when I started, and I just took those selling systems that I learned, sales is a learned skill, and I put them in that business, and I grew it over the next 4 years from $250,000 to $8.5 million. Doing pretty well, right? Per year, doing $8.5 million. And then my business partner, so that company, we sold electronics to like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, like those are my clients, right? And so we're making these agreements where you talk about high ticket. I was selling $60 million over 5 years. Like those were the agreements that I was putting down. And so you really learn selling and selling systems and all this other stuff. So that was really cool. I took that company from $250 to $8.5 million. My business partner sells it out from behind me in 2 weeks. It was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me.
Yeah.
It was one of those moments where I was like, rats, right? I thought I had a baby, and then I didn't have the baby. So that put me in a dark space. My wife found me at that time, pulled me out, and then she's like, I believe in you, go sell something. I knew how to sell, so I went and I took a job selling roofing material in Nevada where it never rains. Cool. Hard thing to sell, right? Most people think anyway. And in the first 3 years of that job, I broke every sales record they ever had because I just used my systems. So it worked again. It just keeps working. Like learned skill, sales, learned skill, keeps working every time. I realized roofers are not my people, so I quit. I'm like, sorry, dude, I'm out. Like, I can't do this anymore. No way. No thanks. And my wife was like, at the time, we were getting really serious, getting married, and she goes, you know what? We should figure out how to do things on the internet. It's like 2016. So I'm like, okay, cool. So of course we see this video of this guy walking along a beach. I made all this money online. Like, that's what I want to do. And this was my first introduction to marketing, right? Because I'm a sales brain guy. And I see this guy walking along. I made all this money. That's what I want to do. So we ended up buying the thing. It was a $99 a month system that he was talking about as a marketing system. And we went through this process of getting upsell. And that hurt for me because I'd never been through that marketing upsell process. But I was like, okay, cool. Product at the backside was $10,500. So still pretty good numbers. And I saw the product. It was a water system for home use. It was an MLM out of Japan called Kangen Water Systems, if you've heard it. And I was like, I love the product because I'm a health nut. And I don't know marketing, but I know sales. So if this little marketing thing throws eyeballs at me, like, yeah, we can make it rain, right? And so next thing you know, we started running this. This is where I learned paid ads to cold traffic. Now, paid ads to cold traffic, according to Russell Brunson, who's one of my direct coaches, says it's the last thing you should ever do when you're building your business. Paid ads to cold traffic should only be used when you have the right messaging, the right offer, the right product, and everything else tuned in, because it's like gasoline on the fire. And so I was like, okay, cool. Well, we learned the hardest thing first. We did it backwards. Again, this is why coaching is so valuable, because he would have directed me in another direction instead of, for 6 months, I stumbled. And if you don't know paid ads, it's a language, right? You got to learn it. It's totally different. You know what I'm saying, Ben? Like, it's a totally different language, right? And so at that point, we learned it, and then we started getting results, and that crushed it for 2016 for us. And we made like 300 grand in 2016. 2017, February rolls around. Guess what? Mark Zuckerberg says, slap, bow, you're out. No more marketing. You can't advertise. You're done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dope. And this is the Wild West, right? Like, and we weren't even violating terms. It was like, and you know, if that's ever happened to you, you probably made the request for the repeal and they're like, sorry, you suck, you can't, you know, like, it's terrible, like, that's the worst. And so then we were freaking out. We're like, what do we do? My wife said, well, look, you have all these ads and there's all these people that liked and commented, like, why don't you just go message them? You're pretty good at that. And I was like, oh, that's it, that's my epiphany, like, we're gonna go do the thing. So I jump in my messenger and we start messaging, and then we started booking all these calls and we started closing all these deals, and I was like, this is it, oh my gosh. And it exploded because it was super high profit with no spend, just time. And that was the nice piece about using the DMs, that I was like, oh, it's actually the solution that everyone already kind of knows how to do because we text all the time.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of putting your words in the right format and letting it fly in a campaign. So this is what happened. And then that started to create a lot of cash flow. And then about a year into that, one of our clients was like, you guys need a software because this other marketing one we're using, it sucks. And we're like, okay. So Russell, how do we build a software? Oh, meet the programmers. Okay, cool. Programmers, we need a software. Okay, it's $1 million. Hard check to cut, but we wrote $1 million check to build our first software product. It's called Digital Genius Lab. It taught the paid ads and the DM strategies with the back end of the network marketing company. When we launched that, it exploded. We did 13 million in 10 months. What a ride of hypergrowth, right? Now, if you've never been through hypergrowth, let me just share. If you don't have parameters set around you, you will fail, right? Because people will just demand be at their beck and call every hour of every day. Here's what I mean. I was running a downline of about 2,500 people in my network marketing that I was training weekly every single time. And they were always asking me questions about this. And I had this software that I was also the CEO of at the same time. So now I'm working like 2 big jobs, and I didn't have the systems in my life to actually manage that stuff. So I started working like 20 plus hours a day, living off coffee, water, and Taco Bell. Worst combination you can ever live on, right? And so at this point, I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. So we're going to the mastermind to hang out with Russell Brunson. Like, we were going to tell him like how we're doing and how awesome we are. And I'm driving down the highway and I see a tree. And I'm like, screw this, dude. Like, I'm done. And I almost drove into the tree and took my own life. I was just burned out. And the reason I didn't hit that tree is because my best friend, my wife, was in the passenger seat. I stopped, crying. She's like, oh, Sean, like, we can't keep doing this. I was like, we can't keep doing this. So we went and we had this whole presentation. We canned that presentation. We built a new one. And we're like, Russell, this is our journey. Up, down, up, down, up, down. At the end, he stands up. He says, Sean, I love you. He says, you need to kill your baby. And I'm sitting on stage like, whoa, we just did 13 million in 10 months. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, the software company is stealing your soul. You need to sell it because you're a level 10 guy doing a level 2 thing. And I was like, right? And that hit me in the heart and twisted the knife a little bit, broke it off. And I'm standing like, how do you exit a company like that? Well, we didn't know. Hired some people to help us do that. We ended up exiting the first software product. And then we were like, what do we do? And then Russell says, what are you good at? And we said, well, sales. And he goes, guess what? All these online guys, these founders that have a little small teams, or maybe they don't have a team yet, they don't like to sell that much. And we're like, really? That's crazy, because sales is pretty easy because we had formulas and frameworks because we learned it. He's like, go watch, go ask them. So I listed like 50 of the perfect clients. And if you're just starting an agency right now, here you go. This is the secrets. This is what we did to a multi-7-figure agency. We we wrote down a list of 40 or 50 of our perfect clients, and we reached out to them through the DMs and we said, hey, we're thinking about starting this thing in sales. Curious if you struggle with sales, would just like to do a marketing research call with you. That's all we said in the DMs. Very simple. Out of the 50 people we reached, 40 of them said yes, and we got on calls with 40 people out of 50. And we went through the sales conversation at the end by all 40 of them. We were just collecting research. We were not trying to sell anything. 5 people said, Sean, we're not getting off the phone until we put a deal together because you seem to know your stuff. And if you can produce that, like, we're in. I was like, okay, great. So that was the birth of our high ticket agency, of which we helped founders to hire on board and train sales teams. That's what we did for them. So it was me and my business partner, Chris, since 2016. We get in these businesses. We'd put a sales team in place in month 1, teach them how to close the deals. Then we would go through their warm market of people they already knew. So for the first 6 months, every one of our clients, home run, home run, home run. But then 6 months happens. These founders come back and they're like, Sean, thank you for the sales team you built me because now I don't have to sell. But guess what? I can't sleep at night because I have no way to find new leads and put them in front of the sales team you just built.
Yes. You created another problem by solving one.
That's it. We created another problem from the one we were trying to solve. And that's what entrepreneur is, right? So all of a sudden, Chris and I look at each other and like, we didn't even know it was a problem. Like, here's the system from pre-internet that we built off a spreadsheet and a piece of paper. Put it in your business and watch what happens. Every one of them exploded. About 5 months into that, Chris and I were like, we should probably teach that to more people at once. So we launched a mastermind. Okay, we hired a mastermind coach. His name is Chris Williams. I love him to bits. And coaching, so important, right? And again, when you hire a coach, it's don't hire the generalist, hire the specialist to get you the result that you want. I think that's a big power tip, right? And so we hired the mastermind coach. He showed us how to do it. We launched a mastermind. It was a 12-month-long mastermind, $25,000. First 3 months, put the system in your business that we just talked about. Hire the virtual assistant from the Philippines to run it for you. Next 9 months, it's going to spit off a lot of conversations, sales conversations. Here's the sales coaching you need to close those deals. Dozens and dozens of clients went through that mastermind. We had 83% success rate. Huge number in any industry.
Yeah, that's huge.
Network marketing is 1 to 3% people that actually do it, right? So we were at 83, so it was like a big number. And same thing happened. One of our clients was like, hey, your stuff that you're teaching is so archaic. It's off a piece of paper in a spreadsheet, Sean. Like, you need a software product. And I was like, oh, PTSD from the first one, but let's go try anyways. So our messaging in the DMs flowed in and we hit our CTO's messaging. He lives in Lithuania. His name's Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno, but it's real, right? And we're like, Bruno, what did you build? He's like, man, I built this crazy cool tech, but I have no clients. What do you guys do? We have thousands of clients, but we don't have a cool tech like yours. And then we were talking and then Chris and I are like, well, what if we just took 100 clients and put it in and see what happens? Yeah, we'll see. So that's what we did. Everything broke. But then Bruno changed the game on us, right? He turned around and fixed everything in 24 hours. I've never seen a developer work that fast in my entire life. And we're like, whoa. And so Chris and I are like, here's another 100 clients. Boom, put them into this thing. More stuff broke. He fixed it even faster and then hired a teammate. And we're like, that's a dude we want to work with. And so we ended up merging and we acquired the company, the tech, put it into the thing, rebranded, and launched FlowChat early 2020. Because we're still running our mastermind, we still had our agency, but this software took off so quickly that it eliminated the need to ever run a mastermind or do one-to-one because it's working so well and doing the thing that we wanted to get more people help with, right? And again, what does FlowChat do at its core? It allows founders to find, connect, and close deals using personal DMs. Unlike all the other softwares that are out there, we work or facilitate message sending across 15 social media platforms, not just 1 or 2. Most of the other tech in the space is limited to just 1 or 2 different social platforms. Like this one works on Facebook, this one works on Instagram, this one works on LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever. We work on all of them. So that's a big factor of why FlowChat. And secondly, the bigger piece of it is like really designed around 3 pillars. Number 1, universal import. Leads is never a problem, right? So we can go anywhere on any social and in one click collect hundreds, if not thousands of perfect clients. What I mean by this is imagine you're a plumber and you're thinking like, where can I find clients? Well, there's a lot of electricians that might have a Facebook group. What if we could go into that Facebook group, click a button, and pull the whole list of people that's buying electric services to sell them plumbing? It's a complimentary offer. So when you're searching for leads online, think for a minute, Write down what are the biggest pre-offers that you do to your service and go find those pockets of leads. Right? Because the plumber can sell to the electrician's clients. The plumber can sell to the landscaper's clients. The plumber can sell to the pool boy or the pool company, right? Like that's a big group of the right clients. And so when you find the right clients in one click and you can put them in a system, like, you win. That's what FlowChat does. So imagine this, your competitor posts an ad and all these people like and comment on this ad. Well, you could go to his ad and grab all of the people that liked and commented on their ad. Or maybe you're a thought leader and you're bombing out with great content and you're going viral. Same thing. You can actually pull all of your likes and commenters. You can pull your own followers list. You can set the thing up on automation to do a whole bunch of crazy things. So number one is universal import, infinity leads whenever you need them in one click. Second one is what we call pipeline view. Big differentiator between FlowChat and other tech that's similar to us is that most other tech was designed and built by people. I love marketing people. They're the kissing cousins of salespeople. So let me explain the difference. Okay? A marketing guy that builds a tech is going to say, hey, Ben, here's 1 million leads. I don't care what you do with them. Go get it. And they're going to cheer you on, and whatever you do, if you fail or you make it, that's a letdown to me, right? I'm a sales guy. Sales guys believe in how do we put money in a bank account. That's more important. So our second pillar of FlowChat is we built pipeline view, kind of like a Trello or a spreadsheet or like a pipe drive or you've seen them before, kind of like those pipelines, but we made it specific for direct messaging across 15 social media platforms, laced it with AI and automation all over the thing. And so now you can have, basically we call it a sales tech, and it would sit in front of any other CRM. And we take those conversations from not only just engagement, but what's the next thing we say? What's the next thing we say? What's the next thing we say? Oh, we got to close deal. So our focus is always revenue, always relevant. That's where we stay. Because if we can help people get revenue using our tech, they'll never leave. And then the last piece of our tech, and I'll kind of finish up here and go back to you, is reporting, right? Because if you can't measure something, or if you can't measure it, you can't grow it. And you don't know where it breaks. I know you're really good at metrics. That's one of your key things. I mean, you're a patent writer. I wrote a patent too. Ben, you're an amazing person, man. So you kind of understand all of this a bit. Hopefully, maybe that was clear enough.
Yeah, I love this. The story you told. I mean, it was you, right? It was your personal story that got you to FlowChat. Now, of course, there's a lot of other players along that journey, but it was the fact that this is something that you went out, taught yourself, even though your dad was great at what he did, he was still teaching you to go, hey, this is what you need to educate yourself. It's not just you can pick up a phone and just start selling. There are tried and true methodologies that people can use to apply to get that. And then what you were doing was you were taking, as time went on and becoming more modernized, you were able to then connect a lot of those tried and true strategies that still exist today into it. And so I think that's a huge difference for people to understand that when they go and use a platform like FlowChat, it was designed with that mentality in mind of this is the framework of how you're going to be successful at making sales. And so even if you're just starting out or you're someone who's been doing it for 30 years, here's a way that you can be able to simplify your time and know that you're doing the right strategies, which I think is really important because when we look at a lot of the other players out there, okay, in today's space, I think we're all familiar with our LinkedIn mailbox having probably every 10 minutes I personally get someone trying to sell me something, whether it's relevant or not, right? And you could probably critique everybody in.
Well, let's talk about that. I think we should talk about that because this is a pretty valuable learning lesson for a lot of people. And as you would know, you're a data nut, kind of like I'm a data nut. And here's the data. I've been through more than 1 million direct messaging sales conversations to get somebody to buy something. Whether it's me or indirectly, I've looked at all these messaging, and through all of that, I chose 350,000 DM conversations. That's more than anyone probably will ever see in their lifetime, but I went through all 350,000, and I was like, what are the data points that all of these messages hit? Every DM messaging sequence, no matter what you're trying to do, where you're trying to take somebody, has 4 hinge points. The first one is we got to get engagement. Most people get this wrong when they message. These are the messages you're talking about. It's like, hey, I'm Ben. I work over here. Buy my stuff, right? And they send you a link and they're like, hey, yeah. And you're like, oh, bros, don't pitch me, bro. Like, what are we talking about? You know, those messages are horrible. And the reason they're horrible is because you just don't know. Like, that's the whole thing. Don't know what you're doing, or you've never had experience, or you've never failed at it before. Like, that's usually where people start. I look kind of past that because, again, the first hinge point is engagement. The next one is transition. The next one is invite and call to action. And the last one is what we call clear future. Let me go through them so everyone understands this. So again, engagement, transition, invite, and call to action, and then clear future. So engagement, the number one way, you want to talk about LinkedIn, the number one way to connect with somebody based on data is going to blow your mind, Ben, when I tell you this. Send a connection request and don't send an initial note. We tested sending notes, not sending notes. We test all of this stuff. What we found is when you send an initial connection note, when you very first message somebody, if you say connect and then send a note, you get about a 40% response rate. When you just hit the connect button, what do? They might peek at your profile, but you get a 60% connection rate. So that's the first move. And here's the other thing.
It's interesting you mentioned that because LinkedIn knows that that's a successful methodology, because what they've started to do, and I don't know if you've noticed this, is if you are not a second connection, anybody higher degree than that, they'll actually say to you, are you sure you want to add this person when there's no note attached?
That's why when we actually, inside of our tech, there's an automation that will actually double check that for you. And you can't connect past the seconds, because when you start just connecting to your first and seconds, what happens is it feeds the algorithm, and they're only going to feed you the right people. And the nice thing is the more and more you connect, it's like a snowball, because now the algorithm is just going to feed you the right people every single time. That's what we want, right? And so that's the nice piece about it. And here's the other thing. Once you get this connection, right? A connection is kind of like one touch point, but we still haven't got an engagement yet. So engagement, so the number one messaging that you can ever send to anybody as a first initial message on any platform is a sincere, authentic compliment. And there's a way to send a sincere, authentic compliment that doesn't seem generic. And the way to do it is to choose the industry that you're in. So Ben, I know that you're in the consulting game. You help small and mid-sized founders, and you give them the strategies to do the thing that they're going to succeed with, and you have all the data that backs it, right? So if you're looking for a founder, you can go search job title founder, pull a whole bunch of them, connect with them. First message should sound something like, awesome to connect with you, Ben, right? Notice I put the name at the end of the first sentence, because in the DMs, the first 5 words are your headline. So don't muck it up and put their first name in the first 5 words, okay? No one will ever tell you that, but that's the true way to message. So if you look in the unreads, hi Sean, hey Sean, hey Sean, hey Ben, what's up Ben, Ben. You're wasting words. Change those first 5 words to be more impactful, okay? So it's like, I see you're kicking major ass, Ben. Thank you for being an awesome founder. Too busy today, but I'll be back soon to send you another message. Authentic, genuine. People are like, he's busy just like me. It also psychologically bangs them. Why? Because you received as a prospect, I'm going to be back tomorrow from somebody you've never met before. So now they've said what they're going to do. Are they going to do what they say? Who knows? If they come back the next day, what have you just done? You've built trust with that prospect without them even knowing it. And this is the game in the DMs, right? So engagement is the first most important vital touch point within the system. The second hinge point is transition. Once you get somebody to tell you some stuff, now we have to have some questions that drive it from generic, hey, how's it going, to business conversation. Most founders fall down in the DMs the way it should be done, or a way. There's a million strategies here. And by the way, dissecting all those conversations, there are 4 flows that bang harder than any other campaigns in the DMs that you've ever heard of. And FlowChat gives you those 4 when you decide if it's right for you, because we have the data to prove it. And so we'll just take that framework and put it in your business with the right messaging in your brand voice, and you win. Like, that's really what FlowChat does for you. But this
Yeah.
first good, because I'm asking about you, your journey, where you're trying to go, right? Future pace. And then you're going to say, and this guy's pretty cool. He actually did what he said. He gave me a compliment. Man, these are hitting off warm fuzzies, right? So you're going to write back a whole big story about where you're trying to take your business. Now that's really helpful for me when I go to close a deal with you at some point, if that ever happens, because I have that data now. And then the second, now we got to go good. This is the second good. The second good sounds like, oh man, you're crazy doing awesome stuff. What's led to your biggest success from this past year? Now you get to brag a little bit about the things that worked really well, and I get the insider intel on like what you've tried before. I know how much that roughly could cost, so I can work out budget, and all this in just 2 messages. This is insane, right? So good, and then we go bad. Now we go the opposite way. This is the third transition question that you need. Remember, engagement transition. So the third question sounds like this. Awesome, it sounds like that's a great winning strategy. I'm really curious, what's the speed bump that's been holding you back, right?
Yeah.
Where are you trying to take your business? What's the thing that led to the most success last year? What's the big speed bump holding you back? That's it. Good, bad. Just like that. And if you ask in that format, then you're going to be like, well, this sucks or that sucks, or, because you're going to be so emotionally charged in that DM convo that you actually write that stuff. And then what happens is you say, my God, you act surprised, regardless, you know what they're going to tell you anyways. So you act surprised, like sales is a Broadway play put on by a psychiatrist. Don't forget that. It's real talk, right? And so we take that and we say, oh my God, I didn't know that was a speed bump. And then you invite. So we've got an engagement transition. Now we do the invite. Sounds like this. Ben, I just helped Joe solve that last week. Let's hop on a quick 20-minute Zoom. I'll show you what we did. How about it? Here's my link. Bang. You say, hell yeah, dude, I'm going to book a call. And you just booked a call. Now, if your intent was to book a call to close a deal, you've just won. The last thing you need to do is what we call the clear future. Give your prospect that exact one next step of what to do. Because when you do that, they'll do it. This is a great opportunity for you to nurture your prospect even deeper into your service. So it sounds like this. Ben, great. I see that you booked a call on Tuesday. I'm so pumped. Take 2 minutes and watch this video about me because it might prompt more questions during our call. Is that cool? And P.S. I know you're not the type to no-show, but if you have to cancel, would you give me at least 48 hours? Doing that will eliminate your no-shows. So if you have that problem, that's how you solve it, right? And those 4 touch points happen whether you're building a webinar, whether you're going to a challenge or a live event, or you're just trying to book calls, or you're getting people to a website, you want them to fill out a form, go to whatever. Those are the 4 touch points that happen in every DM combo.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. I know we had a cold email guy on, right? So a little bit different channel, so a different strategy with it, but 100% right. It's like making people to make that connection with the potential client or the prospect and be able to, find that out when you literally don't know them, except for the fact that there's the LinkedIn. You're right. 100%, psychology. Everybody loves to be complimented. Everybody loves to talk about themselves. Right. And then to your point, you're right. When they are emotionally charged, they are ready to open up and say, because we all know not everything's 100% perfect. There's going to be something that's bothering them. And because you're asking this, they might be like, sure, I'll tell this person. If he helps, great. If he doesn't, at least I, got to have a little feel-good rush for when I read this, especially when my whole inbox is, hey, Ben, what up, Ben. So
that grosses me out when I see that too. So I'm with it, man. I get it every day as well. And it's just like, it's really easy for us to be like, hey, is that an effective strategy for you? Like, does that message actually work? And most people are like, no,
I know. So then
like, we'll book a call with my team. We might be able to help. Like that is pretty interesting, right? So,
well, and it's true. Like I come across a lot of founders who are like, yeah, I don't understand it. You built this solution. I've definitely created the right ICP. Yeah. I know exactly who I'm talking to, but nobody wants this. I said, well, one, if your background's not sales, you're probably having a difficult time communicating effectively what that is, right? But everything you said, which is same thing in product too, is identify the problem. You did a bunch of stuff up there to build that trust. I guess marketers talk about like know, like, and trust. So that trust is there. You've done that effort. And now it's like, okay, now you're talking to the right person when you tell me your problem. And so that's where the real work gets done. And so that's what everybody wants at the end of the day is, I've got a lot of these problems. If you can help me solve it, I'm more than happy to partner with you. And then of course, because of influence, I feel obligated. I need to pay you money for that, right? That's how we transact in our societies. 100% agree with that. Like everything you just said is phenomenal. And of course, they could come to your webinar or, they could learn about this. But I think a lot of SaaS platforms miss that piece of being able to understand, hey, I may have had it laid out for me. Oh, okay, I'll just pick this process. I'll go at it and I'll write it. And then I'll go, why isn't this working? The guy said it would work and everything like that. How is FlowChat sort of helping its consumer base?
That's a great question. So great question. So we have multiple solutions to that, right? So we have different, we have a do-it-yourself version when we have crazy training videos that get updated every 3 to 6 months. So they're relevant and new. And if you're a person that can watch videos and execute, then A+. If you need a little bit more support strategy and more so accountability, then we have kind of our growth level, which is our tech, highest level of tech that you get, plus some strategy calls that we do. Actually, we have we have 4 live every single week. So we actually offer 16 support calls every single month. It's almost every other day. If you need the support, you can just jump on and ask. So some of those are tech calls, more so are strategy based. So it's your strategy is one of these 4 flows that are the most common. Let's look at the hinge points. Where is it broken? Oh, it's broken here. This is how we should tweak it. Go send this to 100 people. Come back tomorrow and tell me how it did. So that's the level of strategy and accountability that we put on. We do that in a group session. Works extraordinarily well, right? So beyond that, we also have other templated flows that we know clients are using. Hey, I'm trying to build a newsletter. Hey, I'm trying to get people to my webinar. Hey, I just have so much inbound overflowing my way. People follow me. I get 300 to 500 followers a day. How do I manage that? Right? Solutions like ManyChat can't. It's too much volume. FlowChat can, right? So we can do both inbound and we can do outbound, which is another big separator between us and the next guy. So that's kind of the piece. And I'll share this because I think this would be the big free give that I think would be valuable for your founders here, Ben. And I'm going to give you a unique link so we can track everything. Again, data nut, right? So I'll get you this link. So hang with us, guys. If you're listening to this right now and you want what I'm about to share, there's going to be a link in the show notes that will be tracked to Ben so that we know everything about you, and so excited about that. But most people, if they don't have a selling system, they revert to what we call the prospects selling system. Now let me explain this. The prospects selling system is 4 steps. Okay? The first one is lie, the next one is steal, the next one is lie some more, and the 4th one is hide. Let me give you a real life example. You and your spouse, Ben, are out to go buy a big screen TV. Okay? And so you do all this research online. You're like, okay, I like this one and I like that one. Honey, let's go to the store and go look at these big screen TVs. So you walk into Best Buy and the sales associate walks up and says, hey, how you guys doing? Is there something I can help you with? Your response?
Yes, we're looking for TV.
You say that. Most people say, nah, just looking, right? That's lie number 1. Nah, I'm just looking. Yeah, whatevs. So that's lie number 1. Then you say, honey, go to the other side of the store. I'm going to just take all the information from the sales guy. And so your wife leaves and goes to the other side of the store. And you're like, hey, sales guy, come back here. Let's go to the TV section. I want to learn more. And he gets all excited. He's like, I'm going to make a deal. Yeah, let's go. So you guys run back to the TVs and you're like, I was looking at kind of that model and that model. They look cool. Tell me everything there is to know. And you go paper. And he's like, well, feature, benefit. And you're just writing notes like hot cakes. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Clearly, you've come to a decision by stealing all of his information. So first you lied to him. Nah, not interested. Give me all the information about the TV. I stole it from you. And then he says the worst sales line of all times. So what do you think? Don't ever ask that ever again. Okay, change the vocabulary. Don't say what do you think to change to what was your favorite part? What did you like the most? Be specific. That will help you if you're listening as a founder, right? So then lie, steal, now lie again, right? So you're there and he says, what do you think? And you're like, I need to go talk to my spouse. Oh, that makes sense. You should go talk to your spouse. I'll be right here. And then you get up and you now lied to him again because you went to the other side of the store. And you say, honey, I just baked this dude. I got all this stuff. Let's get out of here and go buy the TV on Amazon. So you and your spouse hide. They run away. Lie, steal, lie, hide. That's how the prospect system works, right? Now, when you study sales systems, what you realize is there's a few things that you need to put inside of those systems so that you can control the process. Our system has 7 steps. Bond and connect, which is more than just hey, what's that picture on your wall? It's cool. It's more like psychology, personality profiling, modality, some stuff like that. Secondly, we got to have the rules of I call them the rules of the game, right? You got to set the agenda for the call, what you're going to talk about, the outcomes, timelines. Then you got to figure out if they have the problem you solve, which is the pain. And then you got to understand if they can afford your stuff, which is the budget. Then you got to understand how they make buying decisions. When you understand that you can solve a problem, they have the money to pay you, and you know how they make a decision, you can close any deal of any size from any direction. Right? And then the next one is you only need one clothesline. Is this something you think you can do? That's it. No more, no less. Because if you've done all the pre-work, you will close deals. And then the last one is clear future. What's the very next step they need? Hey, go here to this website, fill out this form, do whatever. And so when you have a selling system, you win. When you use the prospect selling system, you lose. So the free give for you, Ben, and all the founders listening right now, is I have a text message campaign. Very simple. Every day, I'll send you a text tip on how to use a selling system. In fact, it's our exact selling system that we've used to close over $200 million.
That's awesome. You'll get, every day you can look forward to something new.
Yeah, it's 30 days. This is not like the longest time, but I will tell you this. If you use the stuff, and I'm giving catchphrases and words and exact messaging to say in your calls, it will close deals for you. I've seen it do it 100 times. So
I love it. I mean, I think with a lot of the technology and stuff, I think it's really important having the sales background, and even a lot of software programs. There's a lot of folks like, hey, here's all the information, you're going to have it. Even the text messages, it's great. People are going to want to apply, especially those that aren't as skilled as yourself. And I think you guys have figured that out at FlowChat. Is one, it's not just one channel. Like LinkedIn is, each one has its own benefit. I think what we learned, Instagram is B2C, LinkedIn and Twitter are B2B. And you've got, 12 other platforms on there to help you out.
I mean, there's, and again, I would preface by saying there are buyers for everything on every platform. Like, as an example, I found somebody on Facebook, and I helped them to set up a DM campaign that would track down government officials that offer road services. And so the guy that I was working with sells road construction. And so we ended up figuring out a DM campaign, and we found a ton of people where he was able to actually line up all these municipalities and all these other people. And so he was starting to do these business to government deals off Facebook. On the same token, next day I got a girl named Jess Ann. She comes to me 8 months ago. She's like, Sean, I want to build a dog walking empire. I'm like, dog walking? That's some craziness. Tell me more. And she's like, I just have passion around it. I was like, great. Where do you live? And so we found her city. We went into a local dog lovers Facebook group inside of her city, clicked one thing, grabbed the whole dog lovers group, hit the automation button. We tuned our first message. We had it up and running in 20 minutes. It was insane. First hour, she booked 5 calls. And then by the end of that week, she had 3 of those calls and closed all 3 deals as dog walking clients. I was like, you got this, run. She calls me a month later, Sean, guess what? I was like, no, I'm interested. What's happening? She goes, your tool allowed me now to hire 25 dog walking trainers, and I just fill their calendars every single day. What?
That's amazing. Yeah, you're like, I want to walk dogs. Wait, now I'm just managing people who walk dogs. Oh, wait, I have a multi-level empire,
dog walking empires, right? So it's that's, again, and so that's just on Facebook. LinkedIn, we have other crazy stories. We've helped humongous players on YouTube. Think Media, great example. They were running a challenge, and they said, Sean, our ads fell flat. We need to fill up our workshop using DMs because we need to fill up the workshop. And we're like, okay, cool. So we're selling $97 tickets to this workshop, and we set up all these automated flows, and bam, we filled up his whole workshop. They did over $1 million on the back end out of that, right? The operator calls me the next day and says, Sean, I want to get the FlowChat tattoo on my tricep to say thank you and I love you. And so we actually have one of our clients that has a FlowChat tattoo on his right tricep. That's insane. So, yeah.
Easy. So a lot of things I've heard, they're incredible, and they definitely focus around the DM space. Seeing that you've been there, right? That time, early 2000s to today, a lot of the story has somewhat stayed the same, but the technology has changed, the way people interact has changed. Where do you see the next phase from DM? I mean, do you think it's going to be around for a while, or do you think it's going to be I'm just making this up, VAs calling people. Are we going to go back to snail mail, direct mail?
It's a heck of a great question, because people are always wondering, right? We sit on the tip of the tidal wave when it comes to AI. Here's what I'll say about AI and DM messaging. It sucks. It's not good enough, right? And so anyone that's received or tried to create a DM campaign from GPT is like, ugh, gross when they read it the first time. It's because GPT doesn't have the comprehension level that it needs yet. So one of the solutions that we built, we actually designed and built our own large language model, and we fed it all these conversations that have one in the DMs, so that now when you use our AI assist, so if you're in a message and you're like, I don't know what to say, but I want to book a call, you can click this purple button that says AI assist in our tech, and it'll just say, here's probably the best next thing you should say to book a call based on all this data. And then you just hit paste and let it ride, right? So I think there's a lot of that. So we're really focused on just being specific AI for DM. But to answer your question, I think AI will eventually get to a place where it can have a lot of conversational flow, like in a DM space, but the platforms will continue fighting against it forever because they believe in sharing and good connection and real, authentic genuineness. So there will always be a place for DMs, and there will always be a place for sales professionals. The one job position that might be a little bit threatened by the AI in space and development of tech is going to be like the virtual assistant doing kind of the heavy lifting on the front, right? And so most of these big clients that we work with, like, I don't know, you could say Frank Kern or Brendan Burchard or Ryan Dice, or all these guys are members of FlowChat, like the hugest names in the digital space, if you guys know who those people are. What they typically have is like a 3-part system. Now, it never starts this way. Like when we started FlowChat, it was me and Chris in a software membership, right? The software membership's $247 a month. That's the one we had. And we started messaging people to fill up 10 spots a week for us. So that's all we did. It was just me and him. We did 2 hours a day of prospecting. We filled up 10 calls on our calendars each. That was it, because we had to do other operational stuff. We made $104,000 and some change in 41 days just from that methodology. And so I always think there's going to be a need for setters and sales professionals. VAs might get removed. So the 3 spots are, as you grow, again, we started from scratch and we proved it, and then we had hundreds, actually we've served over 3,500 clients now, that they've all also done the thing. But the idea is the 3 positions is a VA on the front is the one that's searching for the platforms and looking for the right opportunities and bring them into your system. We're about to automate that whole thing. It's called Lead Miner. It's coming really soon. No one's ever even seen it before. It's brand new tech, and it's going to blow everyone's mind. Second part is the setters part. So once you get them in, you get them started, you get the engagement, right? That's the first step. Then a setter will usually take over and take it from set to book call, right? So we do like engage to book call. That's their role. And then the last role is going to be a sales professional. You as a founder, if you're a little bit smaller, you are always going to wear the sales role, and that'll be the last position you want to outsource. Okay. The first one will always be find a VA off onlinejobs.ph or wherever you go. I mean, ask Ben, he knows more than I do about that. Find a setter, right? And train the setter, work with the setter every day. I work with my 4 setters every single day for 1 to 2 hours, setting appointments in the DMs. I'm doing it every day, right? Because my ears to the ground. Like, just want to make sure that everybody's doing right. And then from there, we built a sales team. So, because Chris and I used to sell, and we're like, okay, April is now in the sales role, and then it was Sam, and then it was like DK, and then like on and on and on, right? So, yeah. So
well, that's phenomenal. I mean, that's great. Like for people, I think you're right. The frustration that founders have today, and anybody who's just looking to get a product out there, who doesn't have that sales experience, is saying, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. And now you're basically built a feature that allows them, doesn't matter what industry they're in, can go in and say, all right, I need to find the right people. I need to tell them the right message, and I need to go about it the right way. And
then you get a big result, the right result. That's what everyone's trying to get.
Yeah.
And it's the fastest shortcut you can have. Right? Because if you tried it on your own, you might be that guy saying, hey, Ben, hi, Ben, hey, Ben. And then you're like, why doesn't it work?
Yeah.
You know?
No, but he's hearing me.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we all go through that. And even within your story, right, you had your successes, you had your failures, you learned from your failures. And you're right. Do we need to go and say, hi, Ben, to learn from that? Or we can just trust that everybody else who's done it doesn't work. Let's go do something else that we can fail at and try.
Or just look in your own unread inbox and get grossed out from people saying your first name a million times. Like, I get it. People want to hear their name, but not in the first 5 words of a DM, okay? Please just get it out of there. Put it at the end of the first sentence after a comma, and you're set.
Yeah, you get about 3 seconds of their time. And if half a second is taken up by them reading their own name, they know who they are. Right? Now, what would be funny if you didn't say their name and you're like, hey, Jeff, and you're talking to Ben, like, wait, hold on, this guy messed up. Now, that's a tactic, but maybe not something you want to use all the time.
Yeah, be a little careful with that one, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to find ways to differentiate. But
humor and romance, right? That's the idea.
But to your point, though, is you don't have to do these absurd or odd strategies to get people's attention. It's just relying on our psychology and our human nature, so that way, and we're not doing it to be deceiving, right? The whole point is, I definitely want to help you, but you're not going to want to talk to me or listen to me unless you've got that trust with me.
Yeah.
Or I've had to do something for you, or I've had to show that, or other people think what I do is great. And now if I'm reaching out to you, know that from secondary sources, oh, okay, right? And that's why word of mouth is probably the best marketing ever, and it will always be, because everybody says, well, of course I'm going to listen. Oh, this guy's name is everywhere.
I agree with you. I think referral marketing is a smasher as well, and I think most sales professionals forget to ask for referrals when they should, right? Rule of thumb, if you are in the sales game, you should be asking for referrals 3 times. The first time should be at the end of your first sales call. The next time should be right when they buy for the first time from you. And then the last time should be about 2 weeks in after they've had their first success. If you strategically position your asks for referrals and you do it consistently, referral trees can grow in people's business. I have so much referral work, but again, we're an outbound DM company. So it's like, we just set those things up and it just continues to feed. And the business that wins as a founder, remember this, right? The business that's going to win the most is the one that's got the most entry points. Mm-hmm. As an example, I just gave you a way to get free sales training from somebody that's done $200 million in sales. That can probably help you a lot. Right? So you can get those for free. That's an entry point for me, because guess what's going to happen? At some stage, hey, you're learning to sell. Do you have a system to give you opportunities? No, you should look at FlowChat, right? Like, that's what's going to come. I'm just telling you that's what's happening. Second entry point could be a webinar. Another one could be an outbound flow. Another one could be an inbound flow. You could create a lead magnet. Like, there's so many strategies. Again, if you don't know what strategy is best for you, book a call with Ben and let his team help consult you down the path, because he does the data, he knows the numbers, and he'll get you to where you want to go.
Yeah, and that's why, FlowChat's extremely important. I mean, the message stuff you just talked about, that comes from a power of influence, Robert Cialdini work that's been done to show you, right, the reciprocation. Of course, like, if you're going to help me out, I'm going to want to help you out. And especially if it aligns with me, who I'm saying to myself, I need to get more leads, or if I want to help more people, how do I get in front of them? FlowChat's the way to go. And bringing it back to what you've always said, right? If you're going to do it, do this one thing right. So you're focused on the DM. Of course, there's multiple channels and multiple ways, and this might not be the only tech stack you have, and it probably shouldn't be, but it should be within that complete tech stack, because there are a lot of other players out there that try to be in the DM space, and they try to do a great job at it. And I think where they miss out is the whole education. And so they're just like, here you go, here's the tools, go at it. Well,
here's a million leads, Ben. Do it with what you want. I don't care.
Exactly.
Right? That's what I'm saying. It's a marketer's built tool.
Exactly. Like, I'll help you grow your business. Marketing, I'll help you, and we just help this guy. Marketing, here you go. Here's everything you need to go. And then you go, wait, why did these people come back? And that's where the product person and myself says, well, hold on. 1, did you talk to the right people? All right. 2, is the product that you just made resonating with those people, right? Is it easy to use? Can they find what they're looking for? Are they seeing the success that you promised? Because if they are, they'll never leave you, right? Whatever you come out with, even if it is not working well, the next release, they're still going to stick by your side, because they know, you know what? I'll give them a freebie. The next thing they release, I'm sure, will be just as great or better than what I've seen before. So I know we have just a little bit of time left. Is there anything that you love for people to know, or that we haven't talked about, that I think one would either help them their game.
Yeah, I mean, like as a founder, like again, I'm a founder, right? We're falling down and stumbling every day. I think the biggest thing that we can do is just know that you're on the right path. Just keep grinding, because it's the people that quit. In fact, a lot of people used to ask me. Now I've trained sales pros. I've trained over 8,000 of those. Okay, and a lot of those people come to me and they say, Sean, what's the one thing I need to be the world's best at in order to be the best sales guy ever, or gal? And I thought about this answer for a really, 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 really long time. And then eventually it came to me. One day I was just like, oh, there's not one thing, there's three. Now the first thing is you must be 100% convicted about what you sell and what you do. Okay? If you don't have this crazy level of conviction that you would go scream about your service and product from the top of a mountain to anyone that wants to hear about it, or you'd be willing to share it with any of your friends and family because it's a really cool product, that's where you have that level of conviction. Now, if you don't have that level of conviction, it's okay, don't worry, it's not your fault, just you didn't know you needed it. So how you get it back is have a moment, drink a couple beers, write down on the piece of paper, why do I not have 100% conviction about the service product that I have, and just list all the reasons, and then try to sell yourself on why that's a stupid thing that you just wrote down. If you can't, give it to someone like Ben and have him sell you on why that's a stupid thing that you wrote down. Okay? Because then you will grow your conviction level. When you have 100% conviction, you can speak from a place of calm confidence. It eliminates commission breath. Nobody likes commission breath because it's gross, right? So the second thing that we need to do is we always need at-bats. We need opportunities to test and try. This is called consistency. Got to have 100% conviction. You got to be fully consistent, meaning every day you're doing the thing. Every day you're doing the thing, right? And the last piece, because you're going to get good. Like, you can learn how to sell like a boss in 30 days from my text tips. You can learn how to sell like a boss when you buy a selling program and you learn the system. But if you don't have reps to try it and practice, you'll never actually get good at it. So that's why consistency is so important. And the last one is this, and I'll leave you with this, is persistency. Know that people are going to punch you in the face. Know that they're going to say bad words at you. Know that you better have a shield or have a way to recharge yourself at night before you go into battle the next day, because it's going to happen. People are going to knock you down on your backside. But what I'll share is the great Les Brown says, if you could see up, you better get up and just keep going, right? And that's the move. So conviction, consistency, and persistency, that would create the world's best sales professional.
I love that. You're absolutely right. And people need to be putting that into their mantras daily, in their meditations, whatever it is, seeing that. The good news is there's 9 billion people in this world, and 3 billion of those can probably buy something, right?
Yeah, right.
And so if you think, do the numbers, we talked about it, even if you were able to sell 0.01% of whatever it is to those 3 billion people, it's still gonna, and the rest of them are all gonna say no. I mean, that's okay, but all you need is that 0.01% of those 3 billion, and you'll be doing just fine, if more than fine, right? Even Apple doesn't have 100% of the market share, and well, maybe not now, they're doing just fine, but they have been doing fine for a while.
They're doing fine.
Hey, Sean, I love having you on. I appreciate it. Everyone out there, the links will be in there. I highly recommend going and getting FlowChat set up, not only just because it's one of the best out there DM messengers for doing your outreach to ensure that you're cultivating and collaborating with your partners, your prospects, you name it. But it's also the education that you get along with it. And I think that's what we all need when we do this technology. It's not just going to be videos and onboarding. It's going to be, how do I really learn from the best who's doing it? How do I replicate what they're doing? And Sean's here to help you along that journey. So with that, you guys keep on doing what you're doing, and especially keep on innovating. Bye.